Hi again. This is Kevin Merrill from BuildingFit. Thanks for joining our webinar this afternoon and this morning for some on the West Coast. I want to thank you for attending today's software demonstration by BuildingFit. We look forward to helping you explore the value of analytics in buildings. During our time today, we want to show how BuildingFit Analytics can be a tool to help your firm identify energy savings and monitor equipment performance. Energy efficiency, cost savings, and improved system efficiency are some of the key benefits we'll talk about today. Next slide. So we put together a short agenda. We plan to spend about 30 minutes with you today to discuss our software and our application and some use cases. We'll have chat going the whole time, so if you have some questions, feel free to submit those. After a brief introduction on BuildingFit, I'll turn the time over to Jeff Cheek on our business development team to demonstrate BuildingFit application. Again, we've left some time at the end to answer questions, but you'll have a chance to answer or send those along as we go. Next slide. So BuildingFit was created by ETC, an energy engineering firm. For over 30 years, ETC has been helping universities, healthcare institutions, buildings in the hospitality industry, and manufacturing facilities improve their energy efficiency through engineering services, mostly in HVAC systems. After a thorough evaluation of analytic platforms, ETC chose SkySpark as their solution of choice and immediately deployed it on one of their large healthcare clients on a monitoring-based commissioning project. Over the next 7 years, ETC wrote over 200 rules and created 60 KPIs, which became the BuildingFit solution. New visualizations in the form of dashboards and reports have enabled clients to closely monitor and prioritize what matters most, resulting in significant savings. The large healthcare customer where BuildingFit was first deployed has already incurred over $7 million in savings and 25 million kWh annually and counting. So to demonstrate how BuildingFit can help your firm and help your firm serve your clients, I'll turn the time over to Jeff Cheek.
Okay. All right. Thumbs up from in the room here. Okay. So today we're talking about and really focusing on energy savings, energy efficiency, and building system optimization. We'll talk mostly about the how you can do that. We won't necessarily dig into a specific measure or anything, but more how you can do that, given we've got a fairly diverse audience here today of end users, engineering firms, commissioning agents. So I want to talk a little bit about the architecture of the system first, and why, as Kevin mentioned, we chose to build our platform on top of SkySpark. At the end of the day, when you're bringing in a lot of data, you need a really powerful, efficient time series database and rules engine. We settled on SkySpark because of those reasons and its flexibility. And what we do to drive energy savings, or with our clients and partners, to drive energy savings, building system optimization, we're bringing in all types of time series data, whether that's in a building automation system, utility data, interval meter data, weather data for normalizations. And by process data, I really mean any kind of smart device, remote sensors, anything with an API that we can bring automatically into our platform. So from there, BuildingFit on top of SkySpark and its rules engine has built, as Kevin mentioned, over 200 rules that are now active. That's a combination of both fault detection and KPIs. And today what we really want to focus on is how you're driving energy savings and optimizing building systems in 4 ways. One is just leveraging historical data. How is this different from a building automation system and viewing that data there? Number 2 is fault detection, identifying issues in real time and then going and diagnosing those. The third is with KPIs. So if we're rolling up data to make meaningful conclusions, identify anomalies, we're using KPIs that way too. And then reporting on all that information. Data analytics are fairly worthless, to be honest, if you're not acting and executing upon what you're identifying. And so you need to be able to track those issues and monitor success against your goals. So with that, with our lengthy 2-slide introduction, we'll go ahead and roll into a demonstration. All right, hold on one second. Okay. So for those of you who are familiar with SkySpark and its user interface already, this won't take too long to get past this introduction, but it's an app-based platform. Some of these come out of the box. Think about it like an Excel platform with really powerful rules and data visualization engine. And we'll talk first about what comes out of the box and how you can leverage that. To back up a little bit too, BuildingFit's capabilities go beyond just offering the software in our applications itself. We help our partners and end clients, end users to build sites, tag sites, because that is a critical component of it, and to bring in the data to establish data connectivity. So as an end user, the historian application, really you're able to view a lengthy history of data and pull that up really quickly. So in the case of, say, a hot or cold call, you can quickly drill down, and we'll just pick on air handler 5 today. And let's say I knew a specific zone where we were getting a lot of hot cold calls. I can take a look at a week and identify what's been going on during that week. So with historical data, we're able to diagnose issues in real time just by looking at the historical data itself. We're not actually using analytics per se, but we're using the ability of a unified platform to view all sorts of data at once. If I wanted to bring in, say, another external point outside of just the building automation system, I could bring in temperature to see how the system is reacting in real time to changes in weather, see if the controls are responding properly overnight during setbacks, that sort of thing. So that's just looking at one piece of equipment specifically with a terminal unit. Let's say we've got multiple locations, and I want to look at how my chillers are performing across the enterprise. So instead of looking at one piece of equipment in one location, I can now take an enterprise view. As I mentioned before, we can really sort this across a number of days or weeks. And now I've got a view of multiple pieces of equipment. Let's say they're both similarly sized. I can see how they're responding, particularly if they're in the same zip code. Now just rolling it up to the meter level. It's not just for points on a building automation system. We're looking at power. So you can drill down to get super granular down to a point on an individual piece of equipment, or if I wanted to zone in on a period of time during a day, I can take a look at that for not just diagnosing issues in a facility, but also diagnosing, let's say I'm looking at different energy tariffs. We can take a look at how the demand is responding over time during a day. Potentially, if your demand charges were super high last month, you can go back and take a look and see what actually happened, say, in June. If there was one day specifically driving that demand, you can look at the equipment specifically. So we're diagnosing just with historical data. Now, from a fault detection perspective, the analytics engine for SkySpark is where we've put a lot of our development time over the past 7 years to developing out rules. We're just looking at an entire site here of all of the rules that are being triggered on a given day. We've built and tuned 200 plus rules, and I'm flying through this list here. Air handlers, chillers, boilers, pumps, thermostats, and terminal units. And we'll really focus on terminal units with KPIs here in a bit. We've created documentation for users to understand more from our rules than just chilled water valve hunting. Well, what does that mean specifically? We provided actions to take for a facilities manager, why it's important, what was tested. And then for rule tuning purposes, a list of default constants that the user like you could modify if you had a larger deadband than what you thought was appropriate from our rule. So there is an element of modification, and certainly using our support as needed, we can help you to develop all sorts of custom rules that apply more specifically to your facility. Now going back to Air Handler 5 and picking on that again specifically, let's say I just am concerned with that area of the facility. People complaining a lot in that part of the building. So now we're looking at everything just under that air handler. Drilling down even more specifically, since we have so many rules, we could just look at terminal units and see if any of these rules are triggering. Okay, so we've got a number here. And in terms of looking at duration, 3.2 days over today, well, that's obviously more than just a 24-hour or 12-hour period here in the Mountain Time Zone. That means that over all of these terminal units here, we have an aggregate of 3 days of this fault. So if we dig into one specifically, we can now diagnose what's going on with this fault. So we're getting a lot more proactive when we start using fault detection and identifying issues that may be occurring today, or if I went back to yesterday. And when we get to KPIs, we'll understand why KPIs are also beneficial alongside of a yes-no relationship with a fault. We can roll up things to make meaningful conclusions. So let's go back to all sites here briefly. Open up all rules. So from a prioritization perspective, you're focused on energy efficiency. So we can sort by cost, and we're actively adding cost to a number of these rules as well. So you can prioritize by cost to get proactive there, feed those to your facilities department. Let's see. But you can also add, from a prioritization perspective, impact and priority. So with priority, you can add a tag to each one of these rules based on your facility's performance to say, okay, high or urgent or medium. So now we get a sense specifically around rules, if you're taking a look at today, yesterday, last week, where to focus the facility manager's time. So that's a high level on Sparks. So we've seen historical data and using that to diagnose issues. We can drill down to the granular level or all the way up at a meter, taking a look at Sparks and how fault detection can help you identify measures in real time. Now let's take a look at KPIs. I'm just going to go to a specific view. Okay, so as I mentioned, a number of different types of folks on the phone today. I want to take a minute just to talk about commissioning of new systems. This is relevant both to someone that owns or operates a facility as well as to a commissioning agent. When you've got a new piece of equipment that's being brought into a facility, or you're upgrading controls or building an entire new facility, you want to make sure that everything's working from day one. And the traditional method of commissioning, you go in, you spot check some things, that's a representative sample. But with data analytics, that really empowers a new age of commissioning in that you have all of the data for all of your building systems that are new, and through the warranty period, if there's an issue that arises, you know when your systems are operating incorrectly or poorly or suboptimally, and you can bring back that subcontractor who refused to take any blame or was putting it on somebody else. So as a commissioning tool, the KPI app specifically is extremely powerful, as is even just historical data viewing to see how things are behaving when you say change a set point. The same goes for ongoing commissioning as well. Over the long term, we know that after a retro commissioning project, things tend to go back to a suboptimal level of performance. You can track those things over in real time and based on historical performance. And We'll talk about that a little bit with reporting and how to make sure that you sustain those energy savings after implementing and executing. So I've got a number of KPIs pulled up here, and so with faults, we were just detecting if an issue occurred and triggered a fault. Here with KPIs, we're looking at a rolled up value over a big data set. So, for example, with heating energy, there are a number of types of heating systems that are involved in this. Say like a hot water valve position is one of them. So we're looking at the percentage open over a period of time for hot water valves as they're included in this heating percentage number. If we've got a couple hundred terminal units that we're looking at in an office building or a hospital, we can sort all of these. So we're pulling live data on all of them and looking at this in August 2019, but that could just as easily be as equipment's brought online in 2020 in August. So now just by sorting, I'm looking at heat energy, which we'd expect to be extremely low in August. And I found 98% on a couple of these, 70% here. So another secondary thing to look at here is heat energy being produced at this terminal unit. And we see 7 million plus 7.7 million BTUs here at 60% open. I mean, these 98% open is certainly a place to start, but in terms of from an energy perspective, let's also focus here to maximize energy savings. So think about a facilities department proactively ticking these off over time, one at a time, every week, pick a few. So from a prioritization perspective, KPIs give you that insight to really determine where to prioritize time. Similar to Sparks, we've got quite a few KPIs that we leverage and provide to our partners. Scrolling through here. So let's take a look at a cooling set point as another example. And I'm winging this, so we'll see if it works out. Okay, so in this facility specifically, all of the cooling set points are in the low 70s. So they're doing a pretty good job. I was working with a healthcare client a couple weeks ago, and we were seeing a number of set points down in the low 60s and a couple in the 50s. I don't know whose office they were trying to ice everybody out so they didn't come in and come into their office, but even just a quick sorting of data like a set point, average set point over a month is really meaningful information to provide insight and to drive savings if you're just going and addressing those one by one. So in the interest of everybody's time, those are three of the key areas we use to drive energy saving, or we help our clients and partners drive energy savings with their projects. The other item I mentioned was reporting. And so from a sense of reporting, yeah, these are all data visualizations, extremely helpful in this platform. You can also create PDFs and send these automatically to different stakeholders. But what if somebody doesn't want to, and we use this quite a bit, and we can create custom views within SkySpark, provide people a login to just look at the information that's most meaningful to them, say, just from a performance against last month for operations on chillers, for example. But let's say that that we want to provide just a simple PDF that's a little more customized. With BuildingFit, we've created a number of different types of reports using data from SkySpark to deliver reports in means that people are more familiar with, say, like a PDF Power BI report or within Tableau. We can export data into a number of different platforms. And here we're showing from an external portal that we provide access to some of our clients. So we acknowledge that different stakeholders within a certain organization may want to see data differently. So here we're looking at energy efficiency as an example with an enterprise client. how are my facilities performing as we execute on energy saving projects. Here we've got target savings, realized savings, and the opportunities that have been identified. So for the commissioning agents, ongoing commissioning agents out there, this provides a really good tool to be able to both validate savings that you've identified and helped your client execute on, and also to provide it in a way that's easy to digest for clients that just want something emailed to their inbox. For folks that are just focused on compliance, that may not be exactly focused on energy efficiency per se, but from an optimized building system perspective and for controls. Here I'm showing an example of an operating room, obviously heavily focused on compliance. We've just rolled up a number of KPIs into a really quick to view and digest report. So this can just be emailed to the compliance folks, operations. Okay, so around pressure, as an example, humidity and temperature. So the percentage of time that these metrics are within a certain deadband. They don't necessarily need to dive into SkySpark. That's what the facilities department, a commissioning, or an energy engineer, that's our job, or that's their job. But operations is focused on a couple of key metrics, and we're able to provide that. So that's just a couple of reporting examples. I just want to give a sense that SkySpark is incredibly customizable and flexible to meet the different stakeholder needs within an organization, whether it's specifically focused around energy efficiency or more broadly around operational metrics. With that, that's what we needed to cover here around those 4 key pillars of energy efficiency and building system optimization.
We had one question in our chat asking based on WH or actual tariff rates with demand.
Yeah, very good question. So we can do it a number of ways. Within SkySpark, they've built out an extremely powerful tariff engine. So we can bring in any tariff that can be modeled. That includes a time of use, a ratchet, just a base kilowatt hour plus specific demand charge. And not only can we bring those in, but we can also run an analysis around different tariffs to understand which would be a preferable tariff based on previous energy and demand, based on previous energy usage. Some of those rules specifically, we've brought in, they can bring in specific tariffs. Some just have a fixed kWh fee, but on a case-by-case basis, those can be modified. So we've got another question. Can we put the historian graph back on? Sure. And to that question on the historian graph, what specifically? We could do a number of things there. We'll just go back to chiller power, or we'll go to the meter. Pull in a couple meters. I can't see the chat. Okay.
Thanks, Jeff. And thanks all for a minute to join our demonstration today. I hope that we were able to cover some of the topics that you were looking to. I hope our high-level demonstration gave a glimpse into the possibilities of our capabilities, leveraging SkySpark, the visualizations, the analytics that came with BuildingFit, and potentially a partnership as We are looking for valued partners like yourself to continue to work together and serve your clients. There will be a a survey that will be sent out shortly after this demonstration. And we hope that you will submit additional questions to us. And for those who want to have a deeper demonstration or a more partnership type discussion of how we can help you and serve your clients, we'd love to schedule some time with each of you to go over that. Thanks again for spending some time with us today, and have a great rest of your day. Thanks so much.